When I was a kid, I always knew like I was the funny one. I always knew like I was the comedic relief of the family, all my friends. I was like funny from a long time ago, but I never knew like how to be a comedian. It was an obsession with freedom of speech. So if in India you go to jail for complaining about the government, here it's like no one wears masks because that's offending their freedom of they're like, why are you talking like that? Why aren't you more dressed up? But a guy could go on stage after me, do the same exact jokes, and crush because they see it through the lens of that's a man, and I want to hear that.
Okay, Sunday night, which means I'm here with another life hack for the ladies. Snow Day edition.
This is day in the life of someone whose boyfriend invested all of his money in the stock market.
Hey, baby.
Yeah, what's up?
Do you want to buy an apartment in Manhattan?
Yeah, that sounds.
Never mind.
Okay.
Namaste everyone, welcome back to Stories You Should Know. I am Tarushi and my guest today is a New York based comedian. She has her own podcast that's called That Time of the Week. You might have seen her in American based sketch show called Wild and Out. Please welcome Maddy Smith. Hi Maddie, what's
Hello.
up?
What the hell is up? Thank you for having me.
How's New York? How are you?
I'm good. Cold weather here in New York City, but my heat is blasted to like 1,000,000 degrees, so I don't notice it.
That sounds like everyone these days, I guess.
Yeah.
How's working from home happening for you?
I don't know. It's okay. It's a lot. I feel like, I started comedy to perform live, and now I'm just performing for a phone, and it
Right.
is humiliating. Sometimes I feel like I'm too old for this, but on the other side, it's fun to be able to learn new things and create content for different audiences, but it can weigh on you.
Yeah, I mean, being a comedian, it's all about, being up there on that stage and
Yeah.
addressing so many people out there and just
Yeah.
being there. I wanna start by, so I know that you were working for a management firm a long time back before you took this
Hmm.
gig up like full time. How did you jump into comedy? Was it something that you were into since your childhood, or did it just happen to you?
It was a little mix of both. When I was a kid, I always knew like I was the funny one. I always knew like I was the comedic relief of the family, all my friends. I was like funny from a long time ago, but I never knew like how to be a comedian. I wasn't raised in a creative household, so it was never encouraged to like go into an alternative art form for your career. It was always like, no, you'll get a 9 to 5. But then I think post college, I was like, am I going to spend my whole life not doing what I kind of want to maybe do? And then once I moved to New York City, I was like, all right, I'm in the center of comedy. I'm going to start here. And if I'm bad, no one will know because there's so many people here that you're just a non. I mean, you get it. When you live in cities that are so populous, you can run around naked and no one will remember you. So it's like very
Right.
freeing feeling. So I thought about it for a long time, but it wasn't until I moved to New York City like 5 years ago that I was like, let's do this because we're here. And so I was working 9 to 5 and I just did comedy at night. And then I worked 9 to 5 and did comedy at night for like 2.5 years. And then once I got wilding out, I quit the day job, but I was doing both for a while.
Right. And I'm asking this, and it's a very typical question, but it's very important being a
Mhm.
woman comedian because we don't have many of them. And even if the ones who are already there, they're not like much appreciated, if I can say this. They are usually looked down. And I know this because
Yes.
we have a very handful of women comedian here in India.
Hmm.
And it's and usually people say that they don't have much content to work on and that women are not funny in general. That's the kind of comment.
Yes.
Is Has it been the same for you?
It depends on where I go. If I go to more conservative traditional rooms and shows, they look at me like I am insane. They're like, why are you talking like that? Why aren't you more dressed up? But a guy could go on stage after me, do the same exact jokes and crush because they see it through the lens of that's a man and I want to hear that. I think women have a long way to go. I always get comments after shows that are like, I usually don't think female comedians are funny, but you got me. And I'm like, it's so annoying. I think we have like decades to go before it's a norm for women to be seen as funny and not a surprising thing. I don't know
Right.
why there's an obsession with women being funny. Like guys are so like every guy is like, if you can make me laugh, like, wow. I'm like, every woman I know is the funniest person in the world. So I don't know what guys are missing out on, but I do think
Obviously, they
it's
haven't
hard.
heard women like sitting together and talking.
Yes,
They'll lose it.
that I'm always like, if I recorded this and showed it to a man, they would like be so scared of us by our power. But it's a hard, and I think the harder part about it is women, we get discouraged easily because it's such a male dominated field. So you have to go on the road with men, you have to jive with men. If you don't get along with the men, like they don't let you in on their circle, and it's just a very bro-y environment. And if you're more feminine or align with women naturally more, it's a tough road.
Right.
That's the
Right.
biggest thing, is how many men there are, and how men just naturally pick other men to like open for them, to talk to be in their web series, and you're just the woman if they
Right.
want a woman. Yeah,
That's true. Yeah.
that's the hardest part.
And there's this another part about being a comedian, and I think that kind of implies to everyone. That's about, offending someone, right?
Yeah.
Or touching a very sensitive topic, talking about
Mhm.
something that might hurt someone's beliefs or thought process. So, that kind of, when you have that kind of foundation, it kind of restricts you to create your content, to put your thoughts out there. How difficult is it
Yeah.
for a comedian to do it? Because then you never know who will get offended on which joke.
You never know, especially online. You never know. And in person, there's this thing where live audiences aren't as angry as people are online. So mostly when I am writing jokes and I put it online, I'm always like, all right, who's going to be mad at this? How worth it is it to put it out there if people are going to get super mad? And it's hard because you see comedians like getting canceled and losing jobs for stuff. And so I think people have an extra layer of paranoia when it comes to writing jokes and putting stuff out there. In my opinion, if it's funny but offensive, I think it's still okay. I think leading with the funny has always helped me because I trust myself to know when it's funny, and I would never say something like racially insensitive, gender, like violence, like anything like that. So I think I can push limits, but I think a lot of people don't trust themselves to put anything out there, so they go super safe.
So
But it
has this
is
has this
tough.
happened with you? Like, have you faced that online trolling, or that backlash kind of thing that happens? Because online is dangerous stuff right now. It's a dark,
It's
dark
so
place.
d it's so dangerous. I think I have, just because I post a lot of I've been on Wild 'N Out, I've done roast battles, I post on TikTok, and every day there's a new thing. I posted a joke about my boyfriend got a COVID test, and he was complaining about how it went down his throat and they violated him, and the punchline was, "Well, what happened next? Did they push your head down and say, 'I'm getting close'?" It's a blowjob joke. I couldn't have said it any other way, but people got mad and they were like, I wish there was a trigger warning on this for sex stuff. And
Right.
obviously, it actually did cross my mind when I posted, but I was like, do it once, then I have to do it every time. That was pretty much it. But it's you really, and then I posted like a High School Musical video making fun of High School
I
Musical, and
saw
people were like,
that. I saw that.
dude, people on TikTok were like, "Oh, have you never seen a musical before? That's how they work." And I'm like, once you see how mad people get at no matter what you post, you kind of become indifferent.
Right.
And you're at the end of the day, you have to be like, I'm just doing this to stay relevant during a quarantine. I'm a stand up, and that's why I got into this. So you guys can keep chatting, but I'm on to the next thing.
But does what happens, like when you post stuff and the kind of feedback that you get, maybe from your audience or your friends or family, uh, does it kind of affect your work and your content, that okay, maybe the next time I'm not gonna make that kind of a joke? You do
Right.
want to put your content, but then you have that thing constantly going at the back of your mind.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, I guess with the COVID test one, I was like, okay, maybe it was a little too harsh for the internet. Maybe there was like a funnier way to do that. So I think so, yeah. There was like, oh, what? Yeah, I think so. Without sort of like limiting your creativity, but you're always like, okay, I made those people mad.
Right.
I would never be someone to like go harder. To like, there's a lot of male comedians who are like, let's go hard and fucking make fun of cancel culture, and I'm more just like, no, I'm just trying to get my stuff out there, and I would never post anything alarming just for the sake of making
Right.
people mad. So I think it does frame your future posts, and I also think it makes you sharper because you're like, okay, they got mad. How can I do it? How can I try to make everyone laugh? That's
What is
really
it
what
that
it
I
is.
can do different maybe the next time
Yeah,
without, offending them or making them feel bad about something?
definitely.
Over the years, because you said like it's been 5 years in New York for you, and over the years, how has things changed for you personally, and how supportive have your family been? Because you are a comedian, which
Yeah.
is, of course, not a conventional job. Not there, not here in India.
Right.
No parents say that, okay, you want to grow up and be a comedian,
No,
go for it. No one does that. So how
no one.
has your family been throughout with you?
They've been pretty supportive. At first, they were a little bit like, "What are you doing?" Like, my mom is very money oriented, so she was like, "Are you getting paid? Like, what's the end goal?" And it's hard to say because when you start comedy, you just have to be open to anything because the industry is so crazy that you have no idea what's coming. And so I had to be like, "No, no, look, those people got up every night and now like they're famous. Like it'll be totally fine." But then once I got on TV, of course, they were like, "Oh, yes, that's my daughter." It did take a little bit of proof to show it was worthwhile for me. I mean, my dad, they both kind of wanted to be creatives and then they ended up in regular 9 to 5 jobs because money's way better. And that's pretty much what everyone ends up doing. So there was support, but there was also concern about the future. I get it.
I think
But now
it's
they're all in.
universal. It's
I
universal.
think so too.
Yeah. The other day I was
And
talking
they're
to this Indian-based a comedian. He's a content
mhm.
creator, and I was talking to her. He was saying the same thing, that my parents were concerned about me earning money, having a roof on my head, and just having food on my table. That's all they
Yes.
wanted. Yeah.
That's really it. And I was like, there was a little bit of pushback on kind of like my dirtier jokes at the beginning, but now they're like fully like, what, we have no control. You do. And I get the money concern. I feel like if I had a kid, I would also be the same way, whether it was like music or comedy. I would
Right.
just hope that I can see their talent and have faith that they're adults. I would hate to have a creative child who's bad at their talent because that's like an awkward thing to support. But if they have talent, you do you.
Of course. Do you have this pressure of constantly being funny wherever you go? Does people expect you to be funny all the time?
Literally, I'm like, I don't even tell people. Like, if I'm at a party where I don't know anyone, I won't tell them. Because their brain shifts and they're like, okay, well, perform for us, tell us a joke. I've been at parties early on in my career where I stupidly told people, and they're like, "Wait, Maddie is a comedian. Oh, Maddie, do like a set for a." Ugh, absolutely horrendous. So now I keep it on the DL, and yeah, but there is that like expectation of, so annoying. And after shows, audiences will come up and be like, "Come out, come get a drink with us. We want to talk to you." And I'm like, "No, you paid for what you saw. I'm done. I'm not going to get a drink with you."
Yeah, otherwise you'll just ask me to perform again for you and crack a joke.
Yes. Yes, they want you to have fun with their group. I'm not giving you guys fun for free.
Right. For the year 2020, it has
Mhm.
been a very different year for a lot of people. For content creators, it has been a change. They
Yeah.
have got a platform where have started putting out their own content on a very fast pace. And there is a thing of being relevant
Yeah.
and being there and not losing yourself, because you're not out there on stage performing anymore.
Mhm.
Right now
Totally.
everyone's home and creating content. That been hard for you during this last year?
It's been really hard. It's really hard going from doing 4 shows a night to I have open days and I don't know how to fill them and I don't know how to make little videos. I was very resistant at first because the news was like, by the end of the year, everyone will get the vaccine. So you're like, okay, I'll just write it out. And then I think September, I was like, I gotta get my shit together because it's gonna be a while. And I also think I started going to therapy, and my therapist was like, just tell yourself this is how life is from now on, and you'll be able to not stop saying when stand up comes back, all blah blah blah. So then you're like, all right, I guess I'll just create content. Now it's better. Now I'm like on a roll. I feel like it gets easier the more you go, but there was, and you panic. I panicked a lot about, because 2020 when it started, I was like, oh, the Wild and Out episodes will come out, and then I'm gonna keep going up. And then they all came out, and we all went in quarantine, and I just had to like figure out how to entertain these new followers
Right.
when I thought I was gonna get on the TV show. And
So, there's this also one thing that just being relevant is one part of it, and another one is competition that is out there. Because
yes,
because you see your friends, your colleagues, people you have done shows with, and other new budding influencers or new
yeah,
budding content creators doing the same thing that you have been doing since years. So there's this
totally.
thing of competition also doing. Should I put out one video, two video? Will I run out of ideas? How do you come
People
up with these
are,
things?
I don't even know. I jot funny thoughts down, and then I find the less thought I give to how bad the video is going to be, the better. I'm just like, just do it. Don't even think about it. Put it out and then move on. Because the more you ruminate, the more you're like, but what if it doesn't? Just put it out. Something I really struggle with is the comparing yourself to others. And when people start doing videos and they're not even comedians and they're like popping off, you're like, why am I even here? And you see how many likes people get, and people get articles written about them, and you really have to be like, continue to work and you will get better. You have to self-talk yourself through it, because when you do stand up, you don't know who's doing well every night. You don't have a list of everything everyone's done that night.
Right.
But with the internet, you see every single thing. You see people's posts go viral. You see thirst traps. You see people's everything. And it can be very triggering for someone who compares themselves to others.
So do you keep
I
like
definitely
a
struggle with it.
constant check on your analytics and how many people are following me and how many likes or views I have? Do you keep a check?
I kind of keep a check. I kind of just do it just to see, like, why did that do well and not that? And then that helps me move forward. I don't really look at the follower count that much anymore, because then you can lose your mind. Because Instagram analytics will show you like how many people unfollowed you that day, and you're like, who the fuck? How dare you? And then you just get mad. So I don't really check that much, but I do like to check just like how much stuff does well and what kind of doesn't do well, without losing my mind, because you can think about it all day.
Do you feel
And
like taking like off days?
yes, and yes, every morning I'm like, I gotta do this again.
Do you do
I
it?
would, I every single day I I have stuff scheduled like every day. And there's like over Christmas I took like a week off from just like phone. I did like light social medias. It was like the best week in years. And then getting
I
back
can
into it
imagine.
was so hard. I
Yeah.
want to take off, but honestly, it's good to do the work, but I feel like if I make it like as a comic, I would love to just like give someone else my phone and have them do all the stuff, because I cannot be looking at that screen for the rest of my life. You do
Right.
start to think like, is this forever? Am I going to be like a
This
content
forever,
creator
yeah.
forever?
Yeah, on phone
Yeah,
all
you
the
put
time doing this.
on the phone all
Absolutely.
the time, doing your dumb little TikToks. I'm like, I'm getting too old for this. I want to have a kid, you know?
I want to ask you one thing from an Indian perspective, because
Hmm.
I'm not sure if you keep like a tab about what's happening in other countries with the comedians. And over here in India, there are a lot of things going on right now. And so there's this thing, if you say something and if it hurts someone's belief or, say sentiments, they're usually sued or put in jail.
Oh my gosh.
They get arrested, and because of the political pressures, if you make a political joke, you are
Right.
in jail you're in prison for you don't know how long.
Yeah.
Numerous FIRs are launched on you. Does that kind
Wow.
of thing happens in back there in your country with comedians?
No, unheard of. Literally unheard of. That is, if that happened, no. You know what? Comedians are obsessed with freedom of speech here. So if someone went to jail, when Trump got banned from Twitter, people were like, well, there's
Right.
one there. Now it's going to spiral. So definitely don't see that. The biggest thing is like people losing jobs publicly, like the public shaming of Kevin Hart for his Twitter. It's more stuff like societal jail, less definitely not suing.
Right.
I don't think I've seen any suing that I know of, and there's a lot of mean stuff, mean
I'm
jokes
gonna
being
get a lot of bashing for this, but I really wanted to listen this and hear it from someone who's into this genre, who's into
hmm
this profession, because things here are getting uglier day by day. It's like
Yeah,
the freedom of speech. It doesn't exist any longer the way it
yeah,
should be. Right? You cannot make political jokes. You are stamped as anti-national. They'll throw you in jail.
right.
They'll say bad things on Twitter or
Wow,
Instagram. They'll call you names. They'll slut shame
right.
you. It's bad over here. So and I have seen so many sketches from US, from comedians over there. It's all out there. I've never heard about someone being sent to jail as compared to India.
No way. Definitely not sent to jail. If anything, people will be like, this is so unfunny. It feels like you're going to jail because people are so mean in the comments, but there's an obsession with it's like the opposite here. There's an obsession with freedom of speech. So if in India you go to jail for complaining about the government, here it's like no one wears masks because that's offending their freedom of speech. So I feel like there should be a happy medium, but yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, now you know it.
So does the government's just allowed, is there like so if the government puts you in jail for
Yeah,
jokes about them, is there
yeah.
something in your like constitution or whatever that's like
So
talking against the
it's
government is treason?
no, actually, our constitution says that we have freedom of speech, but then
Mm-hmm.
if something is said based on religion or God or something, and it affects a certain community, then you just put in jail, because here politicians have that kind of power and they can do whatever they
Wow.
want. Then no
Wow.
one cares about the constitution of India.
Right. People are obsessed. So the other extreme is people are obsessed with the Constitution here. And our founding fathers wrote the right to bear arms and guns. And so now
Right.
people are obsessed with that, even though that was such a different time. So here it's like the way more extreme. That's like the Constitution says I can kill my wife if I want to. So it's so extreme either way. But I guess I am thankful to be here where my job isn't.
Well, I guess it's better to be a comedian over there than to be here
Yeah,
right now. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. On that note, I want to ask you something. What's your how should I put it? Okay, so when you were a kid, right?
hmm
You didn't know that you wanted to be a comedian, or you land up in
Right,
like a management firm. What were
right.
you doing as a kid? What was your mode of escape? That recreational activity you used to do?
Literally, my mode of escape was like watching TV and watching movies. I think that's where my funny came from. I watched every episode of Family Guy when I was like 14, and I know that sounds so disturbing, but I really think that made me funny. I watched like every Adam Sandler movie in fourth grade, like all of that stuff, Dumb and Dumber, like every single movie like that framed my life. My parents were somewhat emotionally neglectful, so I had a lot of alone time. We also moved a lot, so I was forced to like get new friend groups like every 2 years, and I think that made me also pretty quick on my feet. Um, I think I learned from a young age that to get my parents' attention, I had to do something wacky and make the family laugh because it was such a weird family. So I think that's where it
That's
comes
how it
from.
started. That's how it started.
Yes. Yes. Those were like my only hobbies were watching TV. I mean, I played sports and hung out with friends, but it was mostly like if I was home alone, I would be eating and watching TV.
And how do you plan your year 2021? What do you have in store for your fans, your followers, audience?
Yeah, I wish I could say. I think by end of 2021, I want to be like a known content creator. I want people to be like regularly being like, "You're my favorite," or like just like I only am recently starting people to be like, "I just found your account. I love my favorite account." So I want to be like that kind of like that kind. I want to have like a substantial digital audience so that when stand up comes back, they will
Right.
come out. I
Yeah,
think
like
that's the goal.
I found you and I completely fell in love with your content, and that's why I wanted to talk to you. So whoever
Thank
is
you.
listening to this, please follow Maddy Smith on
Please follow.
Instagram.
I beg of you.
She's very funny, so you'll have a lot of fun time watching her
Thank
content.
you. Yes,
Maddie,
I think it's very fun.
tell me, how did you land up being a part of Wild and Out? Because it wasn't something that quickly came to you. It took a very long time. How did that happen to you?
Yeah. I am a roast battler in the city, which in India I would probably get put in jail for the things I've said in
Of
roast
course,
battle.
absolutely, 100,
Yes.
100%. We had one roast in India
Oh my
from a
gosh.
very, very famous comedy company. I cannot name
Yeah.
them, but people will, of course, understand. And everyone
Yeah.
part of that show had an FIR on their name. Everyone had a
Oh,
case. Yeah. So I can understand. You cannot we do that here.
so crazy. Yeah, and the stuff I've said in those, I'm like, oh my God, I'm sweating. So I did that for like 2 years, like millions of roast battles every freaking week. And at the time, I was like, this sucks. But then once I saw a post that was like Wild and Out's looking for rap battlers and roast battlers, I was like, all right, I might as well. I had no expectations going in, because the more auditions you go on, you could be so perfect for it and they never call you and you just have to be indifferent. So I was like, whatever, if I get it. So I auditioned. I crushed the audition. That was my first audition where I was like, I feel good about this. And if they don't give me the part, then whatever. But I crushed that. Because sometimes I leave auditions and I'm like, wow, that was really bad. And I hate
Right.
myself. They're really hard, especially like acting where you're just standing there in front of a panel of people. So it's so humiliating. But then they were like, let's bring you down to Atlanta for like a week of re-auditioning. It's like a week of like getting to know the cast and also kind of auditioning. They see if you're a good fit. And then I got through that week and then I was on the show. It was so crazy. It was very like that's not how I expected my first TV show to go down of just
Uh,
like
How was your transition from this 9 to 5 job to now you're like full time into comedy and you have this show Wild and Out with you?
mm-hmm,
How was that transition for you? Because of course, money initially must have been one of the
mm-hmm,
factors and also problem.
yeah. It was hard at first because at first you have so much free time. It was really hard. I went down to Atlanta. I filmed 3 weeks of a TV show, but the TV show doesn't come out for like 8 months. There's like a delay because they have to edit and stuff. So I got home and I was like, well, I don't have a job. I have a credit, kind of, but it's not released yet. I still have 4,000 followers, so I don't know.
Right.
It was a very awkward time because I was like, do I create content? Like no one, I don't have a following. And then I slept in every day for like 2 months because I was so tired. I mostly just did like a lot of sleeping and reading because I had not had free time in years.
I
And
bet
like
that
stand
was
up
the
at
only
night.
free time you had the last time.
Yes, that was the last free time I had. And then I was kind of just like easing into life. I was getting booked more, I think, because of the TV show, but I was also getting really good at stand up. So I was like a host. I started doing host gigs, which paid a lot more. So my income started getting a lot more. Summer 2019 was pretty awesome. I was feeling in my element. I felt very validated finally being on a show and finally having free time. I can't emphasize how awesome it is to just go to sleep, wake up, and just do stand up shows at night. But it was awkward because I was like, how do I fill this time?
Right.
It was a very awkward time. I hadn't been without structure since like a long time ago. And I had to build that structure into my life. Otherwise I
Yeah.
just float and I get nothing done.
Do you sometimes feel that you see your people around you and they are doing exactly what you were doing 5 years back, and you can see they're not happy. Do you feel like just going up to them and telling them, listen, don't do it, just do what you feel like?
Sometimes, and then other times I'm like, they got to figure it out by themselves, no matter what I tell them. Even like, I've had people be like, I should do this. And I say, here's how you can do that. And I encourage you. And they're like, yeah, I guess. You can tell they won't do it. So I'm just like, I kind of stray from like pushing people in certain directions. I'm like, if they get inspired, I hope maybe me telling my story helps people, but I don't like pushing people in one direction because you can tell it goes in one ear and out the other.
It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I hope you keep creating content like you're doing, and I hope you do get on stage very, very soon.
Thank you. I mean, there are outdoor shows here, but
Right.
it's not the same. It's not the
Of
same
course,
as
it's
the
not the same.
indoor packed room. And
Right.
I don't, I'm thinking 2022 is going to be my year.
Let's hope it starts with 2021. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Maddie, for being on this podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.